Hi everybody, and welcome to the next class here on the Circle of Divine Light Magical Lecture Series. I'm Bernard Alvarez, in case you don't know by now, and I hope that you are enjoying this series, this video series, and are getting something out of it. I know it's a lot of information, and we're going to be giving it out there quickly, and I really feel that even if you take one thing from each class that can work for you and that you can align with, that you are going to have that much more clarity and understanding as to your particular path. And that's really what this series is all about. It's really just a series to help you empower yourself, help you understand a little bit more of your personal path, and to help you align with your personal path a little bit more than perhaps what you maybe you've been accustomed to, or maybe that you've been taught, really. Anyway, I want to welcome you. Today we're going to be covering a number of topics, and I'm hoping by now that you have completed all the assignments in the past classes. And we'll be moving on today to the classical element of air. Before that, though, I thought it might be a really nice thing if I gave you a little exercise that I personally do for visualization. I know that a lot of people, we all have our ways of attuning with spirit, source, whatever you wish to call it. And sometimes people have, what are the words I'm looking for? Clairaudio, clairvoyant. We all have certain gifts that we can, that we find easier to use than others. And I know that for some people, visualization can be difficult. So I'm going to share with you now an exercise that was taught to me during my how shall we say, apprenticeship years. And I found that it's very, very helpful. It's pretty amazing what you can do with this particular visualization technique. It's great for meditation. It's great for evocation. It's great for manifestation. All the Asians. Anyway, so what I'd like you to do, and as we do with any class before we start, let's go ahead and focus. Let's get into a comfortable seat and put your pen and paper aside in case you're taking notes, and just kind of, let's do our focus and breathe a little bit. Just focus on our breath, breathing in through our nose, filling our bellies. And what we're going to do, you might have just heard my kid. What we're going to do is we're going to get an object, and it can be any object. I was taught with an apple. I don't have an apple around right now, so let's see. I'm going to use this bottle of melatonin. Yay for melatonin. Anyway, I'm going to use this bottle. I'm going to give you a moment now. Just look around the room, wherever you are, and grab something that's a fairly simple shape, preferably round or square, but nothing with too many angles, nothing multi-angular. Get something very simple, a little ball, something that's fairly in proportion, where it's not like a pen, it's a little too long and whatnot. But anyway, go ahead and grab something right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to place it, I don't have a high table, so I'm going to have to place it in my hand. And the way that the exercise works is you look at the particular object, okay, and basically you're going to scan it, scanning the top of it, the top dimension, as if you're looking at it from above, and just kind of like scanning with your eyes, going back and forth, going all the way down the object. And just getting and absorbing the entire essence of the particular object. Okay? And what you're going to do, once you get a good visual in your mind's eye, you're going to close your eyes and visualize the object. Well, I'm going to put my arm down for now. Visualize the object seeing it from how you did before, the perspective from above, the perspective of scanning it, you know, from top to bottom, and really get a good visualization of what it is. Now, I'm hoping that the object that you have is in reaching distance. So I'd like you to move it away from the spot it was in, with your eyes closed if you can. And I'm going to put my hand back up because this is where I have my object. And what we're going to do is we're going to open our eyes. Whoops, I kind of moved a little bit. I'm going to open my eyes, and we're going to visualize the object as if it's there still. Okay, so the same exercise you just did in your mind, visualizing it from above, visualizing yourself scanning it from top to bottom, etc. And what you'll notice is after time, and it takes practice, you're going to need to do this several times a day if you're very serious about your visualization techniques. But this is a wonderful technique to get you accustomed to creating, I guess, for lack of a better term, you're creating a thought form. And we're going to go into thought forms in the future, but this is a great way to get you started for visualization. This is excellent if you utilize the law of attraction. This is excellent if you're into manifestation. And then, of course, with the work that we're doing here, the visualizing the energy moving through the body and whatnot, this is going to really help you with those kinds of things. So I really say to practice a little bit, a bit if you can. So, like I said, today we're going to be discussing the air element. And what the air element is, it's a classical element, and we talked a little bit about the elements in the prior classes, and they are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Today we're going to move on to air, and again, it's the reason why I feel it's important for us to learn all the different paradigms, for lack of a better term. This is called classical elements. And the reason being is that besides the fact that this goes way, way back to, you know, Egyptian times or pre-Egyptian, Atlantean, whatever you want to call it, it also happens to be, excuse me for one moment, I'm doing this in one take. Kitty's about to jump on the camera, so I'm going to move her. I promised you a raw video, and we're keeping it raw. I'm not editing or anything. This is you hanging out with me like I was in your living room or you were in mine. Anyway, the reason being is that these particular paradigms and whatnot all kind of like, they play into the pattern of life. They play into the pattern of spirit. They play into the infinite patterns of our thoughts, of symbolism, of our subconscious mind, and the collective unconscious. And we'll go into those kinds of things in the future. If you're interested in learning about symbolism and collective unconsciousness, highly recommend Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, who are two of my favorites when it comes to this kind of stuff. But anyway, as I was saying, these little bits and pieces of information are eventually going to create a pattern for you, and it's going to make it easier for you to understand the subtleties of energy, understand the subtleties of your own body, your mind, your spirit. All of these things come into play once you get a rounded, for lack of a better term, education of these particular systems. You're going to be able to really understand a little bit more. You know, as a part of my work, I do a lot of alternative research, and you know, one of the common things we hear in the truth movement is connecting the dots. Well, this is kind of like connecting the dots, but on a spiritual or esoteric, magical way. So this is going to be very helpful in the future, and you'll see what I mean. Probably in about a year, you'll start going, oh, I get it. Oh, aha. You know, everything will start to click. I'm sure it already is, or you wouldn't be watching this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the air elements. Let me move this out of the way. Alrighty, I don't have a pointer. Maybe that's what I need to get next, is a little pointer, but I'm going to use this. The air element is associated with the color yellow. Most of the elements are associated with colors. We talked a little bit about evocative work and evoking energies and subtleties. Well, we would want to, I guess, visualize the color yellow. I'm not really quite sure why they picked yellow. This is classical Greek. And I believe it was Plato that started this whole system of classical elements. But needless to say, yellow is the color that's been associated with it for thousands of years. And it is also, if we were to give it a personality or a characteristic, the characteristic of it would be hot and wet. Last week we spoke, or the week before, we spoke about earth. Earth would be cold and dry, and like I said, we spoke about winter and visualizing winter to get that cold dry. Here we would be the opposite, where I would visualize South Florida or Miami in the summer, hot and wet, sticky, humid, a swamp, perhaps. So it's a great way to evoke the particular characteristic. It's also associated with our psyche. And we're going to go into more of this in depth in later classes, but the element of air usually works with, usually is attributed to the traits of your psyche, your intellect, and your thoughts. So if we were to give it an association, or if we had to give an association to our thoughts or whatnot, it would be the air element. The astrological symbols, we all heard of air signs, and the air signs associated with this particular element is Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Now, the one thing I love about these is that everyone thinks that Aquarius is water. I have no, I guess because of the symbolism, it's somebody, the water bearer, I believe it is, a symbol. But for me to remember that it's an air sign, it's Aquarius, so I kind of emphasize the air. That's a good way to remember that. The archangel, if we were working with Kabbalistic work or any kind of like high magical work, or if you're into angel work, the angel associated with air is Raphael. And the magical representations, the classical magical representation, if we were to evoke the energy of air or invoke, we would be facing east. It was associated with the east. And the reason why it's associated with this particular direction, actually all of the directions are associated with the particular element due to the way the northern European geology was. So to the east was air, and to the west was water for northern Europe. So you'll see that it might be a little bit different where you are living at this time, but if you're wondering why it's associated, it's usually because of the geology of the particular area that this system was created, and probably with most systems that you'll probably end up learning in the future. As well, if we were to, let's say, have an altar, I always talk about the altar and the placement of objects on an altar. What would represent the air element would be your incense, the smoke rising, and etc. The most important thing for me, because I really don't utilize much of this other stuff, but I will say that I do tarot readings, and in the tarot it represents the wands or the swords. So when you are reading the tarot, you'll see that there are all these classical elements are a part of the tarot system. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how all these little symbols become a part of your life, and it enriches your life, and it helps you understand a little bit more of the symbolism and all the things that you're seeing. If you're in the tarot, it's definitely a must to understand. If you're going to be starting to use tarot, it is definitely a must to understand the particular system of these classical elements. So I'm not going to get too much. Again, this is just an introductory course and an introductory class when it comes to these elements, and I'm not going to get too much more into them than what you're seeing now. If you would like to learn more about them, I would probably suggest, you know, I think I remember for the Earth class, I said, you know, well, you can create your own system, basically, and associate these elements with modern objects. For air, I don't know, maybe an airplane. Excuse me, that would probably be something modern you could associate with air. In the classical Greek medicine, it was actually blood was considered to be associated with air because it was wet and hot. Again, this is only to kind of teach you the characteristics and the behavior of these particular elements. They are associated with certain chakras and certain parts of the body. Again, we're not going to go into that today's course, but and so there we go. That's the introduction to the element of air. What I'd like to do now is we're going to do a pathworking, and I want to introduce you to pathworking. And pathworking is really just a fancy magical term for a guided meditation. The only thing is, though, is that the pathworking actually has a particular goal in mind. You go into the light trance, you go to a specific place that's visualized and created, and you have a certain interaction or something that completes, you know, something within your life or whatnot. And today what I'd like to do is I want to introduce you to something that's called the Astral Temple. Now, I'm going to introduce you to my Astral Temple, but I will say that you can create your own by all means. We spoke about the visualization techniques earlier in today's class, and this is basically how we apply them. The Astral Temple is basically a thought form. It could be a thought form. It could also be a multi-dimensional place that's already been established there. Now, for me, my Astral Temple was brought back to my attention during my earlier work, again, apprenticing, and through a past life reincarnation, or past life regression. I saw this particular temple, and it's very funny how I learned a lot about my own past lives, and I've actually met other priestesses that worked with me in this particular temple that I'm going to introduce you to. But I will say that people are might be able to see it a little bit differently or experience it a little bit differently. But what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to introduce you to the temple of Isis, and I'm going to introduce you to the essence of the goddess Isis. And what we're going to, the reason behind this is that we kind of align ourselves or attune ourselves with the goddess energy a little bit. I know from observation, and this is strictly my own opinion, but a lot of the light working, a lot of the starseed stuff, a lot of the metaphysical stuff, and of course, you know, our religions of today are very male. A lot of the system in particular, the economic system, the working system, the political system, is very male. So it's very important for us to regain a balance of the inner feminine. And that's not to say that we need to become more feminine or to act more feminine. If anything, I feel that it's because of the suppression of the feminine that we're getting a lot of the strange characteristics and mental illnesses and whatnot that are occurring in today's world. So, needless to say, let's go ahead and get ready to do this wonderful pathworking. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths, close our eyes, and you can close your eyes for this throughout. We're going to focus our breath. Let's breathe in through our nose, filling our bellies. And I want you to allow your muscles to relax. Let's put your feet firmly on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, hopefully you're sitting down. You don't need to stand for this one. Let's feel our toes relaxing. Let's feel our ankles relaxing, feeling warm and heavy. Let's feel our legs, our muscles in our legs relaxing and getting warm and heavy. Let's allow our torso, our hips, our waist, all relaxing, feeling very warm, very heavy. Let's bring our focus up to our chest, our neck, our shoulders, feeling very warm, very heavy, and very, very relaxed. Allowing our arms and our hands and our fingers to feel very warm, very heavy, and very, very relaxed. Bringing our attention to our face, our forehead, and the top of our head. Allowing our head to feel very heavy, very warm, very, very relaxed. And now let us visualize within our gut that ball of energy that we always talk about. Let's visualize a spinning ball of white light, emanating and glowing bright, maybe about the size of a soccer ball. And let's increase the size of that soccer ball to extend outward from our body, allowing it to grow little by little. Don't force it. Let it turn as big as a beach ball. Let it get bigger and bigger and bigger until it completely encompasses you in this brilliant, bright, white light. And as the light gets brighter and bigger, it gets brighter and brighter to where it's blinding you. It is as if you're looking straight into the sun and you are in that light, that bright, bright, white light. And as it begins to blind you to where you almost cannot take it anymore, it begins to dissolve. And as it begins to dissolve, you see yourself at the entrance of a path to the woods. Above you is a starry night, the moon in the sky. Around you, you feel the breeze. You hear little bugs flying by your ear. And you begin to walk on this dirt path into the woods. Trees and brush to the left of you, trees and brush to the right of you. The wind gently blowing your hair. You walk further down into this path. Looking above, you can see the stars between the branches and the trees. You can hear the crickets in the background. And somewhere in the distance, you hear a brook or stream gurgling. And you continue to walk, knowing you're in a magical place, a magical wood. And as you begin, the path begins to curve to the right. And as it curves to the right, you see a bright light coming from the end of the path, and it is merely the moonlight. You can see where the wood is going to begin to clear. And as you walk into this clearing, you feel the breeze. You see the tall grass before you, gently blowing in the wind back and forth. And you see the big disk of the moon shining bright upon you. And as you look to the right of you, you see a huge marble building, so big, so huge, it looks ancient. It is ancient. It has columns before it, huge steps leading down into the grass area that you are standing in. And as you will turn and walk toward this, you acknowledge that it is an ancient temple. It is an old ancient Greek, Roman, Atlantean looking temple. And you walk up the steps into the front porch, for lack of a better term. But it's huge. It's wide. And you walk toward the doors. And as you walk toward these huge, heavy wooden doors with great detail and etching and carvings on them, you realize that the two statues on either side of the door are of Anubis, the jackal. And this jackal, Anubis, is the guardian of the wisdom and of the truth. And what he does is he guards the ancient wisdom. He is the guardian of truth and of light. And in order for you to enter the temple, you must answer his question. Give yourself a moment to connect thoughts with this being. Give yourself this moment to let your sincerity be known to this guardian of truth and of light. And as he acknowledges you as being sincere, the doors begin to open. And the doors open upon a beautiful, torchlit, inner sanctum temple. And before you, as you walk in, down the center of this long hall, is a reflecting pool. And as you look to the left of the reflecting pool and to the right of the reflecting pool, you see huge statues of the Sphinx. But not the Sphinx that you know in Egypt, the real Sphinx with the lion's head. And as you go down and see these lion Sphinx type statues, you continue down, and as you go down one side of the reflecting pool, the lion's head begins to change into that of a bird on all the statues. And as you continue going down, it changes again to that of a man. And at the end of the long hall that you are walking in, at the end of the reflecting pool, there are steps leading up to a dais. And upon this dais is a throne. And upon this throne is a very, very faint image that you can barely see. That of a woman, very translucent, very bright though, very light, very white. She's wearing robes of silk, of lavender and teal and turquoise. And she invites you to come join her. And as you step up, you realize she is asking you to sit on her lap, on her throne. And you sit gently upon her lap. And you notice you begin to sort of sink into this person, into this translucent light being. And her body becomes almost a sort of dressing for you. And just sit for a moment in her energy. Sit for a moment, allowing your light mix with her light, allowing your DNA to mix with her DNA. allowing your spirit to mix with her spirit. Let us sit for a moment. Feel the energy moving through your body. Feel the goddess energy moving through your stomach, your legs, your neck. Down your arms and into your hands, and your fingers and your toes. Healing you, healing your physical body, healing your energy body, filling you with a wonderful emotion of love, of compassion, of nurturing, of understanding, of wisdom. Feel her energy course through your body. And as her energy courses through your body, you feel the need to stand up from this throne. Leaving her behind, you begin to walk toward the doors of the temple, past the many sphinxes, with the heads of humans, of birds, and of lions. Past them and past the doorway where Anubis stood, walking back out into the open clearing, into the open field, where the moon courses its light upon you, and the moon's light connects with the energy and the light that you have moving through your body now, reflecting, intermingling, supporting, and energizing. You walk back toward the trails of the dirt path. You go back into the dirt path. You hear the crickets again. You hear the stream gurgling again. And ever so quickly, you swiftly get back to the opening at the other end of the path, back to where you were at the beginning, hearing the mosquitoes or the bugs flying around your ear, feeling the wind blow through your hair, and feeling revitalized, full of love and full of life and full of healing and compassion. You slowly begin to go back into the bright white light that you saw before, the blinding bright white light. The blinding bright white light which brings you back as it dissolves, bringing you back into your chair, bringing you back into the room, bringing you back to the now, feeling energized, feeling clear, feeling full of love, of compassion, and of wisdom, feeling the goddess within you, here and now. Slowly begin to open your eyes, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Take a deep breath, do a little stretch, rub your hands together if that helps. Just make sure you come nicely back into your body. Well, I'm ready to go run a marathon now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That was one of the basic path workings that I do, and I feel that it's a great one to share with all of you. Also, as well, as far as any homework, let us say for our students, especially for our personal teacher students, your homework today is going to be to practice the visualization technique I taught you at the beginning. Taking an object, scanning it, getting to know it 3D, putting it aside after you've created it in your mind. Step one, visualize look at the object, get to know it, scan it, close your eyes, create the object in your mind, the same exact object, scan it, make it 3D in your mind, take the object away, open your eyes looking where the object was, and again, creating it in 3D within your mind's eye. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do this 3 times this week. I'm not going to ask you to write an essay for air. I kind of just gave you an intro and a little bit of a correspondences, so there's really nothing to be said about that. So what I'd like you to do is to practice this at least 3 times, journaling your experiences as we've done in the past. Let's say write down the time, write down the day of the week. So the time, the day of the week, the weather. I know somebody asked me, how come the weather? Because believe it or not, weather influences your etheric body. It really works with your barometric pressure, works with your electromagnetic field, etc., etc., etc. So it has a lot to do with it. So the day of the week, the time of day, the weather, and then your experience. How'd it go? Simple as that. Do this 3 times for me. For those of you that are the regular, our personal teacher program students, just send in your results in a week and let me take a look at them, and I'll send them back to you. And if you have any questions, by all means, that's the time to send them to me if you need a little bit of a little extra guidance or a little more, helpful tricks or whatnot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's class on visualization, the element air, pathworking, and the astral temple. I know we covered a lot today, and I hope you will review this particular class if you need to again. Next week we will continue moving onward. I'm not going to say we're going to do another element yet. I'm not sure. I do this the way I do it because I prefer to have the class inspired from within me on that particular day. Will we get to all the elements? Of course we will. I don't know if it'll be next week. It might be. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for supporting my work and the work of the Global Illumination Council, and just thank you for being who you are and being a light worker on this planet. I'm very grateful we're all here right now, and I thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and pass the invisible love donation plate, the basket. So if you would, please go ahead and make a small contribution at the GIC site. You can go to the GIC.org and click donate, or you can actually go to the channel here on YouTube, on our channel page, on our banner there. The banner above has a little donate button there too. So, $3, $4, $5, whatever, $1. It all goes to the GIC and keeps programs like this happening, basically. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. I love you guys very much. Thank you. See you next time.